Hello, one and all. This is my review of My Hero Academia, Chapter 359, A Place of Learning. And there is a lot I need to say about this chapter, but first off, let's talk about this color page celebrating the 8th year anniversary of My Hero Academia. Oh my god, above. It is beautiful and it is so freaking detailed. There are dozens and dozens of characters on here, all of whom I recognize, which is really shocking. I mean, seriously, this series has so many characters, and even though so few of them have been given, the spotlight they really need, they are all still memorable in their own way, and I really love that. And there's so much I could say about this. I could literally spend the entire video just ranting about this, but that might get a little bit boring, so let's just, focus on some of the highlights. First off, everybody on this page is alive. Or at the very least, no one on this page is canonically dead, which I think implies, everyone here is actually, in fact, alive. I mean, we don't see Night Eye, Midnight, Twice, anyone like that, so I think this means that Lady Nagant and Mr. Compress are, in fact, still alive! Yay! Now, for some of you, that might sound, really obvious. They were never confirmed dead in the first place, but I mean, the last time we saw those two, they were in very rough shape. Lady Nagant literally exploded. All Might blew her up for the sake of keeping his secrets and, hurting Deku, so there was no real reason to keep her alive after that. And Mr. Compress, he literally ripped out several of his organs in order to escape his cuffs, and then got into a fairly long fight after that, so yeah, it certainly seemed like he was dead. It certainly didn't seem like he'd be surviving from those wounds, especially with his whole speech about how, oh, this was the grand appearance of the trickster, the one hiding in the shadows that no one ever suspected, blah, blah, blah. And it really does raise an interesting question. What exactly is going to be the role of these two moving forward? I mean, Lady Nagant, I said in the last video, I think she's alive and I think she's on the battlefield right now, the battlefield of Endeavor versus All For One, but she is so far away that even All For One's sensors can't pick her up, and once he lowers his guard, once he thinks he's won, she'll fire the bolt that puts him down once and for all. Oh, I love that. I would freaking absolutely love that. But then as for Mr. Compress, I mean, yeah, I don't know what he's up to. Seriously, where is this dude? Is he in jail? Is he in a hospital somewhere? I mean, I don't think he ever betrayed League of Villains, so what exactly is his role right now? I mean, maybe he'll be, the only member of the League to actually survive this whole big war. Everyone else is going to die, and therefore, future historians will have to go to him and say, so, what was the League of Villains like? What were they truly after? What did they want to accomplish? What was their goal for the new world they were building? And so he'll essentially be the sole witness to the League of Villains, to the most terrifying villain organization in all of Japan. I'd like that. I would really like that. Alright, then we have Endeavor, who seems to have lost an arm. I mean, it was definitely badly damaged last time we saw it, but yeah, this seems to confirm that his arm was in fact, literally torn off his body or destroyed in his fight against All For One, which, I mean, that's grim, but it might earn him, some forgiveness, some mercy. People might be thinking, ooh, he was really badly injured. Maybe we should forgive him for being such an awful father. Maybe. I don't know about that. Then we have Bakugo, who also seems to be missing an arm, or at the very least, it's like hidden behind him. I mean, his arm was fairly badly damaged this chapter. I'm not sure if it's enough to, actually need an amputation, but I think it's definitely intentional that they're hiding it right now, so curious about that. Oh, and then we have Gentle and La Brava right under Deku's legs. I mean, those two were certainly well hidden. I had not noticed them for a very, very long time, but they're here, and, maybe they're actually here in the fight as well. Maybe they'll step up at some point and, lend a hand, help win the day. Huzzah! Oh, I would love that. I would freaking love that. My best guess is there with Uraka in the fight against Toga, and they're going to say something about love that's going to inspire Uraka to confess her feelings to Deku. Oh, I would love that. I would absolutely love that. Oh, speaking of which, we have Uraka and Deku basically holding hands as they jump forward into the future together. That's cute. That is very, very cute. And Uraka is actually blushing here, which, oh, that's adorable. That is freaking adorable. And speaking of adorable, we also have Kota and Eri, and, he's giving her a kind of a smile. He's looking right at her, and he seems to have a little thing for her. I think Kota has a crush on Eri. I mean, this is a ship I've been calling for a very long time. They're both kids about the same age. They're both saved by Deku, and they both view Deku as being their hero, or at least one of their heroes. So I would so love to see, an epilogue to this series, a sequel to this series, where they're basically, going to UA together. I think it'd be so absolutely adorable. And I would just love to see, literally an entire spin-off just of that. Just, slice of life. I mean, I think the big issue that Boruto had is it tried to be too much too soon. I mean, Naruto really built up to where it was, First few missions, they were very, very low level. Things didn't get intense for a very long time. But Boruto's like, you know what? Boruto's, 10, 12 years old? Let's have him fight a god! What could go wrong? So much go wrong. But, a more of a slice of life spin-off that really focuses on their time at UA would be so amazing for Eri and Kota and just show the future world that's created as a result of this war. I would so love to see that. Also, we have Lemillion, who's, making the exact same pose that Eri is, which is just so freaking adorable. I love those two together. Oh, and speaking of pairs, we also have Aizawa and President Mike back to back, as Aizawa literally drags Ayama by the neck. Oh my god, that is brutal, and I freaking love it. And a detail I didn't notice the first time around is that, Aizawa and President Mike weren't always a duo. At one point, they were a trio. And their third member is still right there. Kurogiri is right there next to President Mike, but he's, partially shrouded by Shigaraki, implying that All For One's influence is keeping him away from his two best friends. And I just so badly want to see this curse get broken. I want to see Kurogiri become his old self again and become a trio once more. Huzzah! And again, there's just so many details in this page. We even have Overhaul, who is, really off in the corner all by himself. Very sad, very sad. I know a lot of people are disagreeing with me on this point, but I so think he's going to come back in this war. He's going to play some sort of role on the side of the heroes, or else why exactly did Lady Nagant free him from jail? It makes no sense to reintroduce him as a character unless he's going to be relevant in this war somehow, someway. Alright, but I've been ranting enough about the color page. Let's talk about the actual chapter. And things are not going all that well for UA, as apparently thanks to Shigaraki's transformation, UA now weighs too much and it is crashing to the ground, which is, nice and all, except that's not how physics works. That is not how physics works at freaking all. I mean, seriously, it's been said many times that what Shigaraki's doing right now isn't quirk-based, isn't some sort of magical power. It is actual physics. It is him essentially, regenerating, healing so much that he's able to create a bunch of duplicate hands that crush everything around him, which, okay, sure, why not? But, those hands would still be made off of the energy inside of his own body. The law of conservation of mass says that his body can't get any bigger unless it's absorbing something around him. And given the fact that he's, in a sealed cage, he's not able to absorb anything at all, meaning that no matter what form he takes, his weight should remain the same, and yet somehow his weight has changed and UA is crashing to the ground. How? Freaking how is this possible? I know it's wrong to expect a manga to make physical sense, but this is weird. This is so weird. Seriously, Shigaraki is already as strong as All Might. Why did he need another power on top of that? Besides all the dozens or hundreds of quirks he has on top of that power already. Weird. Very, very weird. And then just to add up the weirdness factor, the business course kids are busy filming a documentary as UA, literally falls to the ground and, kills all of them. Holy God above. And when I first saw this, I laughed, like, oh, business kids again. Last time I saw them was, I guess at the, UA festival, the sports festival. That was a long time ago, and back then, they were the butt of the joke. They were trying to analyze all the quirks, and All Might was just, sighing, like, oh God, those business kids never change, do they? But here, their purpose actually makes a lot of sense. They explain they aren't just filming a documentary so they can get rich, they can get famous, so everyone want to hire them. They're filming this documentary for the sake of the world, the sake of the world that comes out after this war, because if they actually win this war, and that is a big if right now, but if they somehow find a way to defeat Shigaraki, defeat All For One, to defeat Gigantomachia, to defeat all League of Villains, they're going to be left with a, utterly and completely destroyed Japan. Millions have been killed, probably. All their homes have been utterly and completely destroyed. There is no more infrastructure. The government no longer exists. And the people are going to be, very, very, very angry about that. And for them to be told, oh, the heroes, they fought really hard, isn't really going to be enough to, convince them that, yeah, but were they giving it their all? Were they really trying? They need to see this documentary to know how hard the heroes fought, how hard the students fought, how they fought to their very last breath, how they died fighting for the sake of peace, for the sake of Japan. And maybe then they'll appreciate all the hard work that went into stopping the League of Villains. They just won't think, oh, well, the heroes saved us, because that's what heroes do. We don't need to thank them for it. We don't need to be grateful for it. That's their freaking job. I mean, here's hoping. But then Bakugo hit Shigaraki with all of his might, literally all the force he can muster, and the explosion is fairly impressive, seriously. I honestly thought that, the UA barrier had been destroyed and that Shigaraki would be able to escape after this, but as it turns out, Bakugo is a very careful fighter, which is actually something we've seen many times before. I mean, I know Bakugo comes off as, a explosion freak who just hits first and thinks later, but every one of his attacks in the series has been incredibly carefully thought out. I mean, ever since, his and Deku's first real fight in the series, Bakugo has been thinking, he's been considering, he's been putting in so much thought and effort into everything he does to make sure that his blows are exactly where he wants them to be. And unfortunately, this blow, even with everything he has, isn't quite enough, or isn't nearly enough, as Shigaraki manages to withstand it with ease, and then twists his arm to the point where he might need to have it amputated. He might honestly need to have this thing amputated because the bones are, dust. Literally dust at this point. Holy God above, that's terrifying. That is seriously terrifying. And then just to really add insult to injury, Shigaraki explains that, yeah, Bakugo, I don't actually care about you. I've in fact never actually cared about you. The only thing about you that was even remotely interesting to me was the fact that you were Deku's best friend, that you were so close to Midoriya. And, so your power, it's nothing. You couldn't hurt me even if you tried. You literally couldn't hurt me even when you tried with all your might. So why don't you just go in a ditch and die? I really don't care about you. Oh, that's brutal. That is so utterly brutal. And then Aizawa has a very interesting response to all this, basically screaming, hey, Genus, Mirko, Edshot, can one of you, go die in Bakugo's place? You kind of need to save him because he needs to graduate and become the #1 hero in all of Japan. I love you, Aizawa. I freaking love you. Also, apparently they're not actually able to get a hold of Deku anymore, which is concerning. In last chapter, or the chapter before it, Deku had some sort of interference, came across something in the air, we didn't actually know what it was, and apparently as a result of that, they're no longer able to get in contact with him, which, I mean, is that because, he's on the planes flying to UA as fast as possible, or is that because he's currently fighting some sort of big bad ultimate evil? The big bad ultimate evil is currently fighting Endeavor and Bakugo, but, some sort of lesser ultimate evil. I'm not sure about that one. But then, just as all hope seems lost, the big three arrive. And they are really, really throwing out some death flags right here. I mean, seriously, he says, I really wanted a proper graduation ceremony. That is him basically saying, oh God, I'm gonna die here before I actually graduate, aren't I? Holy God above. You might as well just, confess your love to the girl, what's her name, and ask her to marry you. That honestly would make you less likely to die than saying that you want to attend your own graduation. Seriously, that is such a freaking death flag. But these three are the strongest in UA, and I think it was said back when they were first introduced that these three were the ones most likely to become, the next #1 hero now that All Might have retired, or was just Lemillion was supposed to be the next #1 hero. I don't actually remember, but either way, these three are incredibly powerful, and if anyone can hold off Shigaraki, it's them. But, let me think else down below. Where exactly is Deku? Where is he at right now? Has Bakugo, in fact, lost his right arm? And if he has, what else can he actually do in this fight? I mean, like I've said many times in this video, that was his best shot, and it did abso-freaking-lutely nothing. I mean, maybe Deku can show up and say, hey, Bakugo, you want the power of one for all? I mean, it's gonna kill you in about 5 minutes, but before those 5 minutes run out, you can probably whack Shigaraki around a little bit. That might make you feel better. That's really all I can imagine at this point. I mean, unless Bakugo is able to, attack Shigaraki when he's defenseless, when his guard's down, when he's weak and injured, and deliver like a finishing blow, that's really all I can think of. So I'm not sure. I mean, a big theme this whole fight has been that anyone can be a hero, and that was emphasized even more this chapter as the business course students are able to be a hero in their own way by shooting a documentary and telling future generations, this is what happened. These are the heroes who fought to save all of Japan, all of the world even. So yeah, Bakugo needs to find some way, somehow, to be a hero in his own right. I'm just not really sure how he's going to do that. Curious, very curious, but let me know down below. Be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss my next video, and until then, peace!